Last Friday afternoon at the Tour of Portugal, tragedy struck. The 19-year-old Welsh rider Finn Tarling lost his life when he was hit by a vehicle that had been driven into the peloton. Finn was a highly talented rider, just embarking on what promised to be a brilliant career, but far more importantly than that, he was a young man with his whole life before him, a life that now won't be lived. Details of how this unspeakable turn of events came about are thin on the ground right now, and it is certain that an inquiry is underway by both the race organisers and the local authorities. So now is not the time to speculate, nor is it really the time to draw any firm conclusions. Right now is the time for sorrow. To Dawn and Michael Tarling, Finn's grieving parents, and for his older brother, Josh, this is an event that will shape the remainder of their lives. To the other riders in the peloton, it will perhaps have turned their worlds upside down. And to us at a distance, absorbing the news, it's a feeling of the most profound seriousness and sorrow. Deaths in races are rare, but they do happen, and lately they have been happening with a terrible frequency. Each time a young rider loses their life, a giant question mark hovers over the entire sport. Can it possibly be worth it? This question is insistent and appropriate, but I'm not sure it has an answer. When Björg Lamprecht died in 2019 at the Tour of Poland, I wrote these words, knowing perhaps that I'd be called upon to repeat them from time to time. And here they are again. For a while, racing again seemed irrelevant as the cycling world tried to take stock of the insoluble equation that bedevils any risk-taking human endeavour. Can it be worth the cost of even one young life? In the absence of anything like an answer to this question, the peloton neutralised the following stage. When matters of life and death become too complex and outgrow our desire to celebrate a diversion like sport, we have a tendency simply to muddle on, which is both our collective failing and our only possible saving. And when racing resumed, it did so with a heavy heart. All I can do on behalf of all of us here, on behalf of Pete and Lizzie, who've agreed this message, is to express our deepest sympathies to all those who knew and loved Finn Tarling. It's time now to catch up with Pete and Lizzie and to move forward to the next point of discussion. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the Vuelta España and the upcoming Women's Tour of Britain. Tadej Pogačar was bullied into racing because he's got to do it at some point. He's got to get this Vuelta win. He's only ever raced it once before.
Who's going to fill the remaining spots on the podium? Big test for Roglic, actually, to see if he is really still there and classed as one of the big dogs.
The weather forecast for Cockermouth in Cumbria is 16 degrees, very gusty winds and persistent light rain. Welcome to the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women. And when you look at the start list, it's really, really, really good, isn't it?
It is really good, yeah. I mean, I think there's still time for some riders to change.
Look at the weather forecast.
To look at the weather forecast, to analyse how tired they are still out of the Tour de France run. I'm hoping that everyone's up for a really aggressive race.
For the Love of Cycling is sponsored by Science in Sports, the fuel of choice for some of the leading riders in the Tour de France over the last 40 years. Science in Sport developed the first specially formulated recovery drink, the first isotonic gel, and the first dual-source carb fuel, innovations that have transformed cycling nutrition. It's the official sports nutrition partner to British cycling, supporting community cycling clubs right through to Olympic champions, as well as over 400 elite athletes and teams worldwide. Science in Sport, fuel trusted by champions since 1992. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to For the Love of Cycling. We've had a few days off and very pleased to say that Pete Kennaugh has burrowed his way back into our consciousness and has returned to the podcast post-Tour de France. You're in the Isle of Man, Pete. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Ned. Hello, Lizzie. I'm good, thanks. Very good. It's you guys haven't had so much time off, actually, have you?
Not really, no.
It was a big old trip, big old road trip. For me, it doesn't feel like I've had long off, but I was supposed to do the Vuelta. I've had a race program change since the Tour, so my next race is Canada. But if I was doing the Vuelta, I'd be leaving on Wednesday, which had this realisation yesterday. I was like, Jesus Christ, where's that time gone? So it's always the way, isn't it? Your time off absolutely flies by. But it's been good. It's been good. I've had a little holiday with my wife Lauren in Ibiza. I had my sister's wedding at the weekend. I haven't watched too much cycling, watched a bit of the Tour of Poland. I caught up on the Hamburg Classic this morning, where Astana was second with Mike Turnerson, and then also a bit of the Arctic race of Norway, where we smashed that as well with Thomas Silva. So, been a bit of work, bit of play, normal stuff, my end, Ned.
And Lizzie, I last saw you in the swankiest hotel in Nice, pretty much, the Hotel Negresco, down on the Promenade des Anglais, waiting for your dinner.
Yes.
Yeah, we were totally kicked out, weren't we?
We were totally kicked out. Yeah, when was that? Was that only a week ago? Yeah, I've been to Ireland in the middle of that.
No, it's about 6 months ago. I don't know. It feels like a long, long time ago already, isn't it? Yeah.
Why were you kicked out? You can't just say you were kicked out from somewhere and
Well, I think Ned was wearing his famous Giro t-shirt on the Tour de France. I think there's something to do with that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was made very clear that we weren't residents in the hotel and we weren't especially welcome. Yeah. And as a result, we actually watched the final stage of the Tour de France Femmes somehow, because we were trying to we were in the Hotel Negresco so we could blag the Wi-Fi so that we could sit there and watch the last hour of racing. And in the end, we had to sort of crouch down, sit on the verge and the grass by the Promenade des Anglais, tether my phone to, because I'd run out of data, to Lizzie's phone and watch it on a phone, just like it was the most low rent operation known to podcasting.
But it worked.
But
It worked. It was fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
And you've been away to Ireland, Lizzie?
I have been to the Irish side of the family, escaped the heat of the UK, and it was lovely. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. I'm going to see you in a few days, I think, because the Women's Tour of Britain is upon us, which is what we're going to be talking about a little bit later in today's pod. All right, the other thing I want to discuss, apart from the Women's Tour of Britain, which we'll come on to, is La Vuelta a España.
sí, señor.
Let's get on to the Vuelta, because Primož Roglic, he hasn't actually confirmed that he's going to be racing, but he'll be racing it. His record at the Vuelta is so remarkable that he's won it 4 times, he's finished second once, and then the only other time that he didn't win it, he finished third. And I thought, okay, who beat him that year? Like, how come he finished third? And I looked, and it was the Sepp Kuss year. So he was beaten by Jonas Vingegaard and Sepp Kuss. It was such a strange result. Anyway, it starts, Lizzie Deignan, in the little French village of Monaco with a time trial. So there you go, Lizzie, racing on the streets of Monaco.
Yeah, I think they've made quite a big deal out of it as well. They're going all in. They're going to put on a good show. They've been talking about it for years. So I think, yeah. Well, the window. You can see the window cleaner in the background there. Okay.
I was wondering whether that was Phil. Oh no, it's the window cleaner, isn't it? Yeah.
That's Dave.
It is one technical course, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's not a hilly time trial though, is it? It's not a hilly time trial. It's flat, isn't it?
It is pretty flat, actually. It's got 60 metres elevation in it.
Yeah, they've spared the hills.
9.4k, loads of corners.
But after that opening, and it's not a prologue, it's too long to be a prologue, so it is stage 1. There's another stage in France before they end up with quite a long transfer back into Spain. And the Vuelta does its kind of, its usual madness, because unlike the Giro to some extent, definitely unlike the Tour de France, or certainly how the Tour de France used to be, it's just a kind of like, they've taken all the different types of stages and shaken them up like that and then just gone, have that, there seems to be no structure to it. It's just kind of like bits and it's incredibly hilly. Like, that needs to be said. I think, Pete, you pointed out that this is the second most mountainous or something like Vuelta in history?
Yeah, the analyst on our team was looking back at the last 25 Vueltas, and it's the third hilliest Vuelta in the last 25 years. And just to give some comparison to the Tour de France this year, total metres elevation in the Vuelta is 58,000, and the Tour was 54,000. And we can all agree it was one of the most hilliest tours we've seen in a while. So it's basically put another mountain stage on top of that in there. Yeah, it is a big difference. And that, like you're saying, that first road stage in France is pure filth, isn't it? It's disgusting. So straight into it.
Yeah, I mean, week one is kind of like that. There's that hilly stage in France, and then the next 2 days are hilly, really, with sort of uphill finishes. So even what sort of group gets to the finish line, it's going to be a testing final. Stage 4 to Andorra has 3 Category 1 climbs in it, and then downhill to the line.
And I wonder if that's classified as a hilly stage or a mountain stage, which makes me laugh about... It's probably a hilly stage, isn't it? Not a mountain stage. In Andorra, in a ski resort, like.
Stage 5 and 6 are kind of puncheurs stages, although stage 6, the final puncheurs climb, happens to be Category 1, so it's pretty punchy puncheur fare. And then the last 2 stages before the first rest day are literally uphill or summit finishes. I mean, it's just kind of brutal, the first week of racing. Weirdly, the second week chills out a little bit more in the sense that there are sort of 4 stages where whatever faster riders, and we'll come on to who's riding in a minute, they might get a bit more out of the second week on stages 11, 13 and 15. They could be kind of like sizable groups, but there are 2 Category 1 summit finishes in the second week as well. And in the final week, there are a couple of the easiest stages in the entire Vuelta at the beginning of the third week, when we end up in the Sierra Nevada. So the whole route kind of goes down the eastern coast of Spain and then down towards the south and finishes sort of bottom left-hand corner in Spain. Doesn't go to Madrid. The final week has a couple of the easier stages and then a 32-kilometre second time trial. And again, that's completely flat. Then there are 2 enormous GC mountain days in Sierra Nevada, Category 1 summit finish of Peñas Blancas, and then the Queen stage with 3 Category 1 climbs, and then an Ore category, Collado del Alguacil summit finish. And finally, and sorry, this is just me rambling on, but I thought I'd give you the whole sort of overview. Finally, stage 21 is quite interesting because, I don't know what you think, Lizzie, but because we were both in Paris for the Montmartre stage this year, it feels to me like they're not finishing in Madrid, they're finishing in Granada. And just looking at the profile and the course, it feels like they've looked at Paris and gone, that's quite a good idea. We'll do a bit of that. That's what it looks like, isn't it?
It's not just a procession into Granada, is it? It's a really hard stage again. It's the kind of the last chance for somebody to get something out of the race. But I mean, I don't think it's going to compare to the show that Van der Poel was able to put on in Paris, but
no, I don't think anything will compare to that.
Anything will compare to that.
For a long time.
Nothing compares to him.
I was looking like quickly at the stages in detail before we started the pod this morning, and I was actually thinking, okay, if I was going to the Vuelta as a pure sprinter, which, to be honest, why would you? If you were a pure sprinter, you'd have to wait. There's 2 flat stages. And Granada isn't flat, is it? But, okay, 1, stage 17, that's it. That is it. That's all you're getting. But then you look at the type of sprinters you go, they're not pure sprinters, are they? Guys like Brennan, Pifi, Mads, Wout van Aert. So, but I don't know. I hope it just doesn't turn into one of those races that's a bit like an Etap, or a Gran Fondo to watch, where it's just the same sort of wear and down process every day and it doesn't get a bit boring, and I hope we are treated to some more exciting days. Because that's the danger when you have a race this hard, isn't it?
And Lizzie, Maz, as you were telling us during the Tour de France, Maz has got the physiology to absorb this insane workload and really attack the Vuelta. He'll hold his form, won't he? He'll just keep going. He's like a dynamo.
Yeah, he'll just keep going and going and going. I mean, I'm guessing that he's using it as prep for what's coming in the rest of the season rather than kind of trying to come away with too much. But I could be wrong. I mean, he's absolutely flying it in the Tour de France, wasn't he? And like you say, he's one of those riders who can just absorb it and doesn't seem to come off at any point in the season. So he's not like a rider that has these massive peaks and troughs. So it'll be interesting to see, what he can do. Because if he's in the race, he'll try and win it. It's not that he's just going to sail through the Vuelta in terms of prep to the world. So yeah, he'll be obviously an exciting rider to watch.
I think those days are gone as well, aren't they, where riders ride a race in preparation for the Worlds. Okay, they might be using it as part of the prep, but in terms of, if you look 15 years ago, it'd be like, take the first week easy, second week don't just do too much damage in the Vuelta, basically. And you want to be looking for your form to come up as the Vuelta goes on, but no one seems to do that anymore, do they? Like for the Tour de France, for example, you get guys who would wait until the second, third week before they start properly racing. And the same would be for the Vuelta, heading towards the World Championships. But I think that's just not a case anymore, is it? Like Lizzie said, when these guys are in the race, they race.
All right. What about the general classification? Obviously, Tadej Pogačar was bullied into racing because he's got to do it at some point. He's got to get this Vuelta win. He's only ever raced it once before, and that's when he was 20 in 2019, and he finished third and won 2 mountain stages by attacking a long way out. It's just crazy, but he comes back and he's going to be unstoppably strong, isn't he? Supported by a super team, including Joao Almeida, Pavel Sivakov, Jay Vine, and others. So UAE, by far the strongest team in the race. So let's just assume that that's going to happen for Tadej Pogačar. The real interest, I don't know, guys, is in the podium, isn't it?
I guess so. When we're talking about Pogačar being in a race, that seems to be the main talking point, doesn't it? We had the same conversation before the Tour. Who's gonna fill the remaining spots on the podium? Don't know. It's a big one for Oscar Onley, actually, when you look down through the names and who's riding. I'd say in terms of pressure and living up to expectation, contract, everything else, I think he's a name that sticks out in terms of, needing to perform based off what he's done so far this season. Then you've obviously got Felix Gall. Second in
the Giro d'Italia, and comfortably. Felix Gall was comfortably second, right? He wasn't close to Jonas Vingegaard, but he was comfortably distant of the rest. So he's never been riding better than this year. So I think it's a big opportunity for Felix Gall. Big opportunity for him, and a big test for Roglic, actually, to see if he is really still there and classed as one of the big dogs in terms of podiums at Grand Tours, and if he's still got it, towards next year as well. I mean, no one knows where he's going to go next year, do they? Yeah. But he's leaving Red Bull, isn't he? So I mean, I think it's also a big test for him as well.
I thought he was going to Lotto.
Is he? Sure.
Well,
is he?
I mean,
well, you heard it here first. Is that a joke? Is that a joke?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I mean, I'm always the last to know. So
that would be a big shock, wouldn't it?
Can you imagine him in a Lotto kit?
I mean, it could be nonsense, but that's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay. That's one to watch. Thanks, Lizzie, for that scoop. Skelmoser is there. He has obviously raced the Tour de France. He's an outside bet for a podium, I guess. And Richard Carapaz is the one that intrigues me because at the Tour, he can do his thing of stage hunting, brilliantly winning the King of the Mountains. And by dint of doing that and being in that position in the race, he ends up in the top 10. At the Vuelta, because it's a weaker GC field, he could end up a lot closer to the podium than he sort of like bargained for in a funny way. So he might be goaded into doing much more of a GC race. Do you see what I'm getting at? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think he has to, doesn't he? I mean,
he's been playing
from
it down.
What we've seen at the Tour, he was just one of the next strongest climbers after Pogačar. So I think he'll be going in there like all guns blazing for GC, and to do it in a more traditional GC manner, let's say.
He did a really good time trial as well, didn't he, in the Tour? He surprised quite...
But actually, I can't remember what stage he actually lost the time and came out of the GC in the Tour to begin with. Was it had he lost time before the Tourmalet stage, or was it the Tourmalet stage where he first lost?
Oh, that's a bit of a stretch.
I know on the Tourmalet stage he first lost maybe three or 4 minutes, and then I think it was the stage. Anyway, doesn't matter. But it was like at one point, Ned, you're right, he decided to just take himself out of GC in order to be able to go for stages and sort of be allowed to go in the breakaways. But like you say, I think he doesn't need to do that at the Vuelta. I think he'll go in, with big GC ambitions, especially with how he was riding in the Tour.
Other sort of like, I think I've got a hunch that we're going to see quite a lot of teams, quite a lot of breakaways go to the line. I just feel that Pogačar will build up a lead in the general classification, and he doesn't need to do much more than just defend and let it go. And there's going to be big gaps, and I think we're going to see a lot of breakaways take the stage. And in that category, because it's so many summit finishes and hilly stages, we've got a really long list of riders who could win stages from a breakaway. Mikel Landa, Kjan Uterbrooks, your guys, Pete Fortunato, maybe, Tejada, Rodriguez. And you've also got Carlos Rodriguez of Ineos. Andreas Leknesund is there. The little teeny tiny Belgian dude from Lotto who's about to find his place taken by Primož Roglic, according to Lizzie Deignan. Jarno Vida, he's there. I would love to see him win a stage from a breakaway. Valentin Paris-Peintre, who weighs about 1 stone. He's going to be there. Enric Mas. And I think my hipster choice is Marco Brenner of Tudor, who's just won the Tour of Poland. I think he's on really good form and he could win a stage. So that's a list of kind of like people who might win stages. I think I'm talking to... Well, David can't join us today, but had he been able to join us, that would have been 2 riders who had worn the red leaders jersey of the Vuelta, plus another rider who should have, could have, might have worn the red leaders jersey on the Vuelta, Lizzie Deignan. Lizzie, you very nearly wore the leaders jersey, didn't you?
I did, but I put the brakes on.
Tell us the circumstances.
I know, Pete. I'm an idiot. Looking back, I'm an idiot. So I broke my arm. I'll start at the start. I broke my arm in the Tour of Flanders, which was 4 weeks before the start of the Vuelta, which started with a team time trial. Did the team time trial with the team, and I did about 3 turns until I was just like blown to pieces. But I sat on the back just in case. So I was like hanging. Turning into the last corner, and I knew they were going to overcook it. I was like, they're going way too hot into here. So I backed off, watched them all crash, and I was like, So I sprinted. I was a counting rider, so I sprinted, but then I was like, I'm not taking red here. Like, I've done nothing. So I pulled the brakes, and my teammate got red. Yeah.
Oh, what? You did the complete opposite to what I did, even though there was no crash. But no, in all fairness,
you didn't do no turns and then sprint in a team time trial.
I do respect that, Lizzie, because I reckon there'd be many other riders who would be like, this is my chance. I'm taking it. I don't care about anyone else. So yeah, that is big respect, isn't it?
Thanks. Yeah.
Fair play.
Who took the jersey then, Lizzie? And how long did they keep it for?
So it was my teammate Gaia Realini, and she actually sat on the back the whole way. She didn't do a single turn. But she was kind of our GC rider, so it made sense, you know?
Yeah. And Pete, how long did you have your jersey for? I can't remember now.
About 21 hours. Yeah, because ours was also a team time trial. Wouldn't call it an incident, but first stage. And yeah, I did, to be honest, I'm not being so modest, but I did enough work to get to the line first, you know, without worrying about it. And we came out of the last corner, and like always in a team time trial, everyone just starts to just sprint to the line, don't they? Because the quickest is to arrive sort of side by side for the time. And yeah, I was flying. I won the sprint out of the 9. I think it was 9 riders back then, and there were some fast guys there. So then I took the jersey, which was an unreal experience, I have to say. Because then the next day you're obviously on the front of the...
Oh, cool,
at the start, you're on the front with all the national champions, all the other big hitters. So I was there next to Valverde, etc. Maybe Contador. I was just like, ooh, this is how it feels to be one of those champions. Anyway, yeah, it was a sprint day. So I think Kwiatkowski took the jersey based on position. So he was like 5th in the sprint, and I was, 20th.
Oh, count back.
But then in a way it was nice because he also had a big part to play in me taking the jersey in the first place. So it was quite nice to, have someone else who also contributed highly in the team time trial the day before to actually be able to wear the red. Because without any of them guys, it wouldn't have been possible for me to have it in the first place. So it worked out well.
So did you not have did you not have the discussion beforehand who's going to take the jersey? Was it just too tight?
No. Because I think if the team time trials later on in the race, and maybe it's a bit more clear who, I don't know why that would be ever much of a discussion actually, because for me it's, in a team time trial, it's about getting, I don't know how many riders back then, maybe it was 4 or 5 to finish. But as soon as you start having that discussion, that can straight away mean that you lose time. So I think, you know, if you want to win a team time trial, it's about getting 5 riders across the line as quick as you can. And I think that can affect the end result. So that was there was never a discussion.
I was always just in a team with Anna Van Dijk, and it was like she literally did more than half of the work always. So it always felt like, if we could try and get Ellen over the line, if we're in a comfortable enough position, we'd try and get somebody like Ellen to get that moment, because, yeah, she deserved it.
Well, this is all lovely stuff, but there is no team time trial at the Vuelta, so
No, there isn't.
No, there isn't. Not this year. But how is the Vuelta? How's racing in Spain? Is it a different vibe from racing anywhere else, Lizzie? I mean, is it a good race, the women's Vuelta?
Ooh, it wasn't when it first started. It's
Really?
I mean, like everything in women's cycling, it's developed like so fast. I mean, when I did it for the first time, the like kind of long format of it, it was really quite. They were doing some weird stuff, experimental stuff, like having a toilet stop. That was one. So there'd be every stage there'd be a toilet tent, and they put it in the most ridiculous places, like on a descent at 50k an hour or whatever. And it's like, so what?
What? Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! A toilet tent. You all stopped and went into a tent. And there
No,
were
did we
toilets in-
heck? But that was their, I suppose, attempt at equality. I don't know, some weird misguided idea that the ladies could use the toilet. It's like, no, we're actually racing.
Powder your noses.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit funny, and stuff like the food was pretty.
Yeah, they didn't think that
bad,
one through, did
like,
they? The toilet tent, like, because how can you ever predict the best place to put it? You know.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we actually had a bit of a pee gate that year with I don't know if you remember Demi Vollering.
Yeah,
stopped for
I do.
a pee, and Annemiek and Movistar attacked in the crosswinds, and that was.
But did
but
she
to-
stop for a pee in the toilet tent, or?
No, but that would have been good. No, but actually, I was on Annemiek's side that time. I mean, I would never have stopped where Demi stopped. It was proper windy. It was open to crosswinds. So there you go. But the past, that's all in the past. And now the race is very much developed into the race it is today, and is proper Grand Tour.
What about you, Pete? What's the Vuelta like? Is it a different vibe from
Oh,
other
the
races?
Vuelta comes. That's one of my big three. Favourite races of the year. So the World Championships, the Vuelta, and the Dauphiné. The Nationals would go up there as well, but they're just too annoying to figure really on the podium. But it's just a great race. I don't know, the whole vibe and the whole feel of the race is always so relaxed. It's a nice late start, okay, which means you're eating a bit later and everything else after the stage, but it's okay. There's not loads of fans. There's enough fans to make it feel important, but not to do your head in, if that makes sense. And it's really hard to pinpoint exactly why I love it, but I think it's where it comes in the season actually makes a big difference as well, compared to the Giro as the first Grand Tour, and then the Tour. I'm not going to say it is the Tour, but it is the Tour. And the Vuelta just arrives at this period where you've got people, at different sort of, not levels, but you've got some people preparing for the World. You've got people going there for stages, and you've got big GC riders who have finished the Tour and they're not quite sure where they're going to be form-wise, and it's just, it's, I don't know, the whole dynamic of the race, I just really enjoyed.
I think it's a nice point in the season as well. Like if you, you're coming to the end, aren't you? And it's like, you don't have to train anymore actually if you do the Vuelta. Like it just takes care of itself, which is nice as a rider.
Always feels to me a bit like a giant King of the Mountains competition. Like nobody sets out targeting it. No, very few riders at the beginning of the year go, I'm going to target the Vuelta. Maybe some Spanish riders do, or Primož Roglič does, but everyone else just kind of ends up at the Vuelta. They target the Giro, and then they target the Tour, and then they end up at the Vuelta.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think no one's got huge pressure on their shoulders to perform. If you go there and you get like amazing results, it's happy days. If you don't, actually no one really cares, So you're exactly right there. Like the year Sepp Kuss won, that was Bit King of the Mountains vibe, wasn't it?
That was King of the Mountains plus rock, paper, scissors, wasn't it, between Jumbo Visma? Yeah. Is there much more to say than that? I'm not sure there is.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay. So, Lizzie, the weather forecast for Cockermouth in Cumbria in a couple of days is 16 degrees, very gusty winds and persistent light rain.
Quite warm then, 16 degrees, that's all right.
Welcome to the Lloyd's Tour of Britain Women. Things to say about this, I think, are it's a big deal, this race, because it is the last, apart from Chongming Island, maybe, it's the last World Tour race on the women's stage race on the women's calendar, isn't it? So all the World Tour teams are obliged to be there, and they've just come out of the Tour de France Femmes. And when you look at the start list, it's really, really, really good, isn't it?
It is really good, yeah. I mean, I think there's still time for some riders to change.
Look at the weather forecast.
To look at the weather forecast, to analyse how tired they are still out of the Tour de France Femmes. But like we were saying before, it's a really good opportunity for riders to get a bit more workload in, considering that the women's tour, World Tour calendar is not that well balanced actually towards the back end of the season. They still need to do a little bit of work on that, I think. So if you don't race here, then in terms of preparation races to continue your race form into World Championships, etc., it's a bit thin on the ground. So I would still expect that riders come here, even if they're tired.
Pete, your memories of racing in Britain?
You know what? A little bit similar to how we're talking about the Vuelta. It was kind of like just turn up, and what I enjoyed about the Tour of Britain was we were just allowed to race aggressively and sort of do what we want, really, as opposed to every other race of the season where it was very sort of strict and tactics were quite structured. With obviously always going for GC with Froome a lot, but in the Tour of Britain it was a bit like junior racing. Just go out there, attack, do what you want, have some fun. The transfers were always long, but then also some good memories from that as well. I remember one year on the Sky bus we just pulled up into one of our local pubs and just had our dinner there instead of at the hotel, because there was still like an hour and a half to go. It was about 8 o'clock at night, so we just did that. Imagine just walking out of your local pub and this big black Sky bus is in the car park.
Was it a Toby Calvary?
So it was actually a really nice pub, but it was nice memories like that. And it's just the Tour of Britain. It's a funny one. I remember a great story about Kirienka. He was third on GC, and it was one of the years it finished. It's finished in Wales loads of times, hasn't it? But anyway, it was one of these, and it was pouring down with rain.
Oh, I remember that. It was Michael Albacini won the race that year, and you had to go up that Constitution Hill in Swansea, I think.
And he just got off. He was third on GC. He was just like, I can't be dealing with this in September, Just got off his bike last stage, imagine. So, good memories, actually. I really like the race as well. I've worked on it a couple of times with Trinity as well.
Yeah, of course.
So that was also the same, just good, really good fun. And there's something nice, isn't there, about racing on your local roads? You have a feeling for how they sort of work and the flow of the roads, which actually makes a big difference, I think, when you're there.
They've shifted the position of the Women's Tour of Britain in the calendar for the first time this year, and it's obviously next week. So it starts on Wednesday, 5 stages long. The men's race is also 5 stages long, so they've kind of equalised that out. There's a week now in between the women's and the men's race. I like that. I think it's sensible. I think kind of pushing them together like that focuses the sporting public, the wider audience, on the fact that these races are happening. I think that's good. Don't know what you feel about that, Lizzie. I think it's sensible.
Yeah, I think it's really sensible. Also, it kind of replicates the way the Tour de France did it as well, having that week in the middle for everybody to kind of catch their breath, the media, the team support, etc., all to just catch their breath and then go again. I think it worked really well.
And the race looks like this. So stage 1 is this circuit in Cumbria with that horrible weather forecast. It's actually the longest stage of the race, just under 160 kilometres. It looks quite flat. It just skirts, so it goes from Cockermouth to Cockermouth and skirts the Lake District. And then you look at it, it's actually 2,000 metres of climbing in 160 kilometres. it's not straightforward. Stage 2 then has finishes in Blackpool, which is, I think, where we're going to see you again, Lizzie. There are 2 Category 1 climbs quite early on, but then it flattens out as you kind of approach the promenade in Blackpool. Should be a bunch sprint. Stage 3 is hilly with a really, really spectacular finale on the Great Orme, which is that big rock outside Llandudno in North Wales, where a few years ago in the men's race, Van Aert and Julien Alaphilippe went head-to-head up this 2.5-kilometre climb, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And I think there's a strong chance, Lizzie, that, let's be honest, Lorena Wiebes might just win a few stages of this race, and could well be in the leader's jersey by the time we get to stage 3, and will come under quite a lot of pressure on that climb because it probably falls. You remember that first stage in Lausanne where she was under real pressure? It's kind of not dissimilar to that. So it's like, I think the riders, the peloton will know, won't they, that they could maybe get rid of Lorena Wiebes on that climb.
Yeah, but it will be a different peloton. So we're not going to have Demi Vollering, for instance, going from the bottom of the climb. It really depends on how everybody else decides to race it. But yeah, everybody else in the race should be just focusing on trying to get rid of Lorena because she can survive those sort of climbs. She's got classic legs in her. She's not just a pure sprinter. She has performed on climbs before. So it's down to the rest of the peloton.
Do you remember that unbelievable statistic from the Tour de France that when we were working on it about her strike rate in bunch sprints? I mean, it's been updated since then with her victories, but it was something like, since failing to win a bunch sprint in Rotterdam in the Tour de France Femmes, since then she'd won 54 of 55 bunch sprints that she'd contested. I mean,
and you know that sprint that she didn't win in Rotterdam, she dropped her chain.
She dropped her chain. So it wasn't a physical thing, it was just like the mechanical.
Yeah. So she's insane.
She's insane. Stage 4 then, again, 2,000 metres of climbing, 2 climbs in the final 20 kilometres as they go to out of Wales to a finish in Hay-on-Wye, which is beautiful, and it has a book festival that I appeared at years ago. And the final 8 kilometres are flat. So if there's some attacks over the top of those little climbs, there's a chance for them to be reeled in, and maybe Lorena Wiebes to win the stage. Who knows? And then the final stage is probably much more controllable and probably will finish in a bunch sprint. Royal Leamington Spa hosts both the start and the finish of the final stage. Notable riders, well, it's quite a list, but as you say, Lizzie, we might have some withdrawals in between.
We don't know who's going to show up. Yeah, absolutely. People that I'm excited to see are the Brits. I think Zoe Baxter, she showed in the Tour de France Farm how strong she was.
What a ride that was.
Yeah,
what a
stunning.
Ride that was. It was just great.
So strong. Pfeiffer Georgie, she hasn't really had the best season yet, so I think this is an opportunity for her to maybe do something. Flora Perkins is really strong and really kind of an aggressive rider who could, like Pete was saying, she knows how the roads work in the UK. It's the sort of different, the flow of the roads. As a British rider, you have a little bit of an advantage compared to the European riders to kind of anticipate. I don't know how you do it, but you anticipate what's coming up. There's hedgerows everywhere in the UK. You can't see what's around the corner, but just certain instincts and
it's like a subconscious feeling, isn't it? It's hard to explain.
And none of these riders will have done recons for these stages. The season has just been too busy. The logistics of a team coming over to the island now that it is because of Brexit, etc. Like, it's a lot of work for the teams to come to this race. So riders, I think fortune will favour the brave in this race. It's riders who are willing to attack into a blind hedgerow corner and hope that it goes uphill afterwards rather than downhill. Like, it's really going to be an instinctual race, and I hope because of the nature of the roads that we see quite an attacking race, because if you don't, it's going to come down to a bunch sprint with Lorena Wiebes. So I'm hoping that everyone's up for a really aggressive race.
Jacopo calls hedges tree walls because he didn't have the English word. Which is quite cute, isn't it? I like that. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be presenting for telly for the highlights that are going to be on ITV4 every day. I think there's live streams available elsewhere. So we're all set fair. So massively looking forward to that. I head up north tomorrow. And of course, Lizzie, it's worth noting, for those who don't know, you won the bike race twice in 2016 and 2019. Which of those two victories was the greatest?
2019, because Orla was 7 months old, I think.
Ah, did
So
she see
that
you
was
win?
pretty sweet. No. Who's going to bring a 7-month-old to a bike race?
Phil?
No.
Phil, maybe?
Have you met Phil? No. No, he was sensible at home. No, that was really sweet because it kind of was just like, yeah, it was worth coming back for.
Yeah. Well, it was worth coming back to talk to you guys. Lovely to catch up. I'll see you in Blackpool, Lizzie, and Pete. I'll see you on the road sometime, yeah?
You sure will, Ned. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Lizzie, as always.
You too.
All right. Take care, guys. See you next time.
Take care, guys. Bye.
And just like that, we're back into daily pod mode. Starting on Saturday, we'll be picking up on all the action from the Vuelta a España and also chipping in with regular updates from the Tours of Britain, both the men's and the women's. And all that brought to you by a rotating cast of friendly faces through Lizzie, Pete, David and myself. Now it's time for you to get involved. Your chance to win a 3-month supply of Beta Fuel from Science and Sport, the dual source revolution that changed cycling performance. Just post and share a photo of you and your bike on Instagram, tagging #ScienceAndSport and #ForTheLoveOfCycling, and telling us why you're inspired by the Tour de France. For the Love of Cycling is sponsored by Science and Sport, the fuel of choice for some of the leading riders in the Tour de France over the last 40 years.